Welcome back to the series where I'm walking around the whole of Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly in one trip. In this video, I'm starting off just before Tintagel, heading through King Arthur's mythical home and one of the most beautiful sections of the whole Cornish coast path to Port Isaac, where I failed to find a camping spot hours after dark, wake up soaked from a wet tent, and then carry on to the River Camel, where I cross over to Padstow, take part in a few fun activities, and then finish the next day on the cliffs of Mawgan Porth, just before Newquay.
Good morning. The time is currently 7:45 and it's pretty early. I don't see anyone. I'm sure there'll be some people kicking about, but I've got to take my tent down still, probably take about 20 minutes, and then hopefully today we'll make it past Port Isaac, maybe just around the corner from Port Quin, which is quite a while, but I think we can do it. So yeah, let's pack down this tent and get on the way. Okay, the time is now 8:15, which is earlier than we've been getting up for a while, so I should get some more distance on today. My feet are still quite bad, which is weird for the morning, but I'm sure I'll get on with it. So let's go down this hill and then, yeah, start the day. And we're back on the path.
Working my way out of the woods I camped in last night, I was heading towards Tintagel Castle, the legendary home of King Arthur. This is Camelot Castle Hotel, which meant I was only one more corner away from seeing Tintagel Castle. This is the current Tintagel Castle. Now in disrepair, it was built in the 1230s and said to be the site of residence for the mythical King Arthur, and previously a stronghold of trade in the Middle Ages to the Mediterranean.
I think I would have gone in the castle considering it's open now. However, it's £18.60, and to go in somewhere you can already see, it's not really worth it. So I'm going to give it a miss. I might get a pasty, probably use the toilet, fill up my water bottles, etc. And then, yeah, we'll be on our way, trying to cover some more distance today.
After seeing that it was in fact £22 to go in, I decided not to, and to fill up my water. Oh wait, it was undrinkable, so decided to charge up and grab a pasty in the cafe for a while, listening in on the employees having a meeting about how they can sell more pasties for about an hour, before heading back off towards the next village of Trevose.
So I'm out of that cafe. I spent about an hour and a half in there. It was like £5 something for a pasty, and it was terrible, and £4 something for a sausage roll, and like another £3 for a lemonade. Ridiculous prices, but there we go. I'm all charged up now. Camera batteries, phone, battery pack, so it's just walk in now, and we got just over 2 miles to Trevose, and yeah, I'm hoping to get to Port Isaac today, so let's keep going.
In good spirits after having my pasty, I was back on my way towards Trevose. can now see quite clearly the village of Port Isaac I was trying to get to tonight, so with a belly full of ants and pasty, I got on my way. Trevose was central to Tintagel's slate industry, being a place to fill up ships to export, with quarrying taking place here since the 15th century, and around 8 disused quarries between here and Tintagel Castle. And after taking the rocky path down and having a quick look around, I grabbed an ice cream and enjoyed it on the beach before heading back out. What came next was, in my opinion, the worst hill of the whole trip. Around 100 tall steps that was a big mission to climb, not to mention a lady behind me doing it with 2 dogs.
Highest climb so far.
But at least the view from the top was almost worth it. And almost instantly, up next was this mammoth of a hill that was next to climb. After almost climbing 2 big hills, it was time for a celebration. But we still had a bit more to climb yet.
Okay, little update. The time is 3 o'clock and we are 5 miles from Port Isaac, where I'm planning to get just past today. So we've got about 5 hours to make it, maybe 7 miles. Pretty good. We've walked 4 miles from Tintagel. Pretty cool. Yeah, my feet are actually doing pretty well today for whatever reason, because I haven't changed anything. They've just kind of maybe healed overnight, because they were agony putting them in the sleeping bag yesterday. But yeah, we're doing pretty good. Better get back to walking, I guess.
And with the next group of villages around 5 miles away, I put my head down and pushed on. I can now see Port Isaac in the near distance, and after climbing many a hill today, I was looking forward to having a rest up and a meal in a pub. All these tough climbs today have made my recovering feet worse with every step, but the promise of a village around the corner continued to push me on. Looking back, I was proud of all the distance I had already covered today, but also concerned for what happened to this guy and his croc. One thing I noticed about this segment was that it was quite regularly overgrown, which made it a bit harder to follow. After a long day of hill climbing, I have finally reached the next village of Port Gavin, a once busy 19th century fishing village and handling port for slate, coal and limestone. However, whilst walking through, I didn't spot any pubs or restaurants open, so I pushed on towards Port Isaac. Port Isaac was first recorded in 1338 and was founded as a fishing and coastal trading village, considered then to be one of the most remote settlements in Britain. It's now a heavily tourist area, being well known from the TV show Doc Martin. I walked through and then went into the pub, where I tried to charge my electronics but the plug didn't work. I then ordered a burger, chips, mac and cheese and rattler for £32, with the pint itself being £6.15. The food took over half an hour to arrive, with only one waiter and the restaurant completely full of Americans talking about their houses in Hawaii. So after spending a lot longer than I wanted in there, I headed back off.
Okay, well, that wasn't a good experience. 30 quid for not a lot of food, not working plugs, a few other things, but yeah, we're fed at least. I'm going co-op now to get some snacks for tomorrow, and then I've got to go around the corner to Port Quinn, where I'm going to set up my tent. However, it is a long way to Rock tomorrow, where I need to get the ferry to Padstow, so I'm kind of debating whether to go a bit further, so I know I'll definitely make it for 4 when the last ferry is. So yeah, a bit to think about.
So then I headed out of Port Isaac quite late, debating how much further I should walk today.
Just got an absolute handful of stinging nettles when I was coming down from that little part. Certain, but stinging nettles are okay. They're just a bit annoying. We're just crossing over now back to the path, and behind me is where I thought it'd be a decent place to stay. It kind of looked pretty woody on the map, but it's more like on a hill with it's like grass, so might have to find somewhere else.
Sunset was approaching, and I was debating camping somewhere here. However, after putting my hand straight into a stinging nettle bush and my whole hand tingling, I had to decide whether to camp here and not be able to get any sleep.
Okay, there is a decent woods over there we could camp. Look at my hand, yum, yum. There is a decent woods over there we could camp, but there's no signal down here, and you know, that's not amazing. Or we could go up all these stairs, and there may be signal at the top, but it probably won't be as good. Alright, I'm gonna have to think. Okay. Up here, may also have better view. Okay, we're just gonna go up and have a look. What on earth is this path? Well, this is exactly what I was fearing it would be. Nothing. So now I can either try and camp on top of there, or go back down there, or have a look around the corner, but it is going to be dark in about half an hour, so I need to make up my mind.
I decided to go even further, knowing there could not be any decent camping spots around. However, there usually was, so I took the risk.
Slightly regretting my choice to carry on because there are no good fields around here. I'm hoping around the corner there will be, otherwise I'm going to have to walk quite a bit further, but at least I'll be closer tomorrow. Optimism.
The main problem of finding a place to camp here was that one side of the path was a cliff, and on the other were cow fields, unlike the majority of paths before where you could walk freely. So I carried on through the cow field, with it now starting to get dark, hoping for a woods or open field to camp in. Whew.
Okay, there is a possibility if I wake up early. However, there may be some better ones ahead, so I shall keep looking, but at least we found somewhere. The first path with the railing. Okay, I don't care anymore. I was going to go over there, but this part looks pretty good. It's on a hill, so no one's really going to come down, and it's pretty secure if I go up there where it's flat. So
Okay, the camera might be a bit right now because of the light, but here is where we camp in. Got a pretty decent view, but it's dark, so you might be able to see it. But yeah, I'm not going to do a good video now because it is dark and you won't be able to see it anyway. So I'm just going to put up the tent, and I shall see you tomorrow. Good morning. The time is about 9 o'clock, and as you can probably hear, it's still raining, which means that I'm not leaving the tent because I'm going to get soaked. The tent's going to get soaked, the bag's going to get soaked. So I'm going to wait about an hour more, get properly dressed, get everything packed up and waterproofed, and if it hasn't stopped raining I'll probably go, but otherwise, yeah, it's not looking good today. It's still raining. It did stop for a minute. I don't think it's meant to be raining past the morning, so I'm going to put this camera in my bag, in a waterproof bag, so it's fine, hopefully, fingers crossed, and I'm going to start filming on this GoPro because I don't want to mess up this camera. So I'm not going to film taking all the tent down because it'll be raining and it's not worth it, so I shall see you afterwards where hopefully I'm not soaking. Okay, the rain does seem to have stopped completely. However, it is supposed to be raining this evening and my tent is still wet, and that'll be a bastard to put away. But I suppose I better get on it and get walking to Rock, where hopefully I will still have time to walk to Rock to get the ferry to Padstow before the end of the day. Let's hope. Okay, I'm out. That was the first time I got on a fence field, but it was kind of needed. Good view anyway, not that I got to appreciate it. Anyway, it's not raining anymore. I don't think it's meant to rain to the evening, so we should be fine. I've still got 2 pairs of trousers on, just in case. I don't have my rain bag on my bag, so Yeah, we got to get to Rock today, which is a long way, so I have to get walking, not many stops. I have to stop at a cafe in Padstow if I get there on time. So yeah, let's keep walking.
Having managed to avoid the rain, I was now on my way to Rock, hoping to make it on time to catch the ferry across Cornwall's second largest river, the Camel, to Padstow. Port Quin was a small fishing and trading port that declined due to dwindling pilchard catches and the closure of local mines that forced the emigration of its population. Another tale claims that once all the men in the village were put to sea, but were lost in a great storm that destroyed the entire fishing fleet. I walked straight through this tiny port and carried on towards the next village of Polzeath, with the ferry I had to get to at Rock being around 9 miles away.
The sign said about 5.5 miles to Polzeath, but I think this can go by really quick because it's all flat. The last few days it's been about the same, like 7 miles, but it's been up and down. So this one we should breeze, and I think we're gonna get to Rock quite soon. It's only like a mile or two past Polzeath, so I'm feeling good about today. My feet aren't too bad, but yeah, we're doing good. Okay, we're actually doing pretty well. So I'm going to go to this car park, go to the toilet, get some more water because that's about to run out. It's only a few hundred yards, so go there and then get back on the road.
I decided to go just off path to a National Trust cafe to get some water and use the toilet, and also ended up coming out with a pasty before heading back to the coast path.
As much as I want to cross straight there, unfortunately I do have to get the coast path around back.
This part of the coast path will take an extra hour to do the rumps bit, which isn't too much, but to be, valid and say I've done the coast path, I have to do it. And I've checked the last ferry is at 5:45, which means we've got a bit later, which means we should definitely make it.
So I pushed on towards the rumps.
You can walk up both of them, but I'm choosing not to save the legs, but there you go. Pretty cool. The rumps, haha, funny word.
Walking past the rumps, I bumped into some other hikers who told me they were just on a boat trip here, and saw around 7 puffins through their binoculars, which I thought was quite cool. I then started pushing on towards Pentire Point, where I would be able to see the next stretch of coastline across the Camel River, but randomly, my feet started hurting quite bad again. Thankfully though, I was only 2 miles away from the next big village of Polzeath. And soon I had made it to Pentire Point. This ended up being one of my favourite singular views of the whole trip, and I turned the corner and started heading towards Polzeath, with my feet once again feeling like they were on fire. Polzeath has history since the Bronze Age, with tin and copper mining leading the area for a few centuries in its early settlements, before developing into a major Victorian resort where it has stayed a popular tourist destination, particularly for beachgoers. Trying to make it to the ferry, I walked straight through and got on the 3-mile path towards the rock.
Little update on how I am. My feet are very sore, and I know I've got about 3 miles left, so this isn't fun at the moment.
The views around here were great though, and helped distract me from the pain.
One good thing I suppose about this part of the land is that the ground is flat, which means I can cover a lot more distance a lot faster and
yeah, get further. It's just, I'm kind of going quite fast now, pushing myself to try and get to this ferry. And hopefully after that, because all my stuff is run out of battery now, my phone, my camera battery is almost my battery pack, so yeah, I need to charge all that. I can have a rest for a bit and maybe a meal. I'm sure Padstow prices will always be quite high, like in Port Isaac, so yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah, just moving, trying to get to where we need to go.
After climbing up that massive sandhill only around the corner, I can now see the place I'll be catching the ferry over the river to Padstow. After a painful day walking, I sat down for a short while and rested until the packed ferry arrived, and enjoyed the ride over Cornwall's second largest river to Padstow, one of the most touristy small towns in Cornwall. And just like that, I crossed over the river and was walking through the town to find somewhere to charge and eat. Padstow has a very long history, stretching back nearly 5,000 years, named in honour of St Petroc. It evolved from its natural harbour that was used for ancient trade routes and turned into a medieval port and fishing town, with some of the most popular Cornish traditions still being held here annually. Recently, Chef Rick Stein has done an amazing job at turning a once proud Cornish town into an extremely overpriced tourist town. I went into the pub and started charging up my electronics, which were all very low, and grabbed some food. I then got told they would be starting a pub quiz soon, and having never done one before, and needing to rest my feet and charge up, I signed myself up. Whilst waiting for it to begin, I was in search of some socks to buy, as all of mine were wet and used. I went into a shop, and after being told they didn't have any, I told her my story, and the lady searched the back and gave me this pair for free, saying that she only had a few short segments left of the path herself to go. By the time I got back with my snazzy new socks, the quiz was starting, so I ordered some chips and for the next few hours competed as a one-man team against around 10 other teams, with only one other team of 2 being Cornish.
What's your quiz team name?
That's worth a point, isn't it?
Universally challenged. Universally challenged. Body safe to show.
After a nice break for a few hours, and funnily enough, not even coming last.
Next with 40 points, the Cornish Independents.
I made my way out of the pub, and at around 9:30 in the darkness, ventured back on the coast path to find a spot to camp for the night.
Yeah, the area I'm aiming to camp is about 15 to 30 minutes away, depending on which one I pick. Not too far. So yeah, we're going to go up there and then hopefully get to Newquay-ish tomorrow. Fingers crossed, depending on how it goes. So yeah, let's go. It's kind of getting dark, not the best. Probably had a bit too much fun in there, to be honest. But yeah, let's go.
Escaping Sweet Caroline, which somehow stretched through the whole town, the sun had just gone, and after turning a few corners, I had found a pretty bad spot in a sloped woods. But being in close enough and late, I put up my tent and dealt with sliding down all night.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. As you can see, we were on a hill. Hold on, let me give you a better view.
If you can tell.
I was lied down right at the bottom because I was just sliding the whole time, but that's kind of what you get when you don't give yourself enough time in the light to find somewhere. So I had an okay night's sleep, to be fair, but yeah, we've got to get moving. I'm trying to get to Newquay area, but I think that's a big goal. So yeah, we'll see how we go today. Okay, let's get a move on.
After making my way out of the woods, I was back on the coast path again, and looking forward to getting around the upcoming headland to see the next stretch of coastline I would have to tackle.
I've got new socks today, which are helping a bit with my feet. However, they are still hobbly and blistery and the rest of it. So I am hobbling along. But yeah, it's kind of need to keep on walking, I suppose. Well, I've just stopped to take my jumper off and I've had my biscuit and sweet breakfast. Top class. But yeah, better get walking again. It's getting to be a drag now. A lot of walking. But as I expected, we got about 6 days maybe, depending on how much I stop. Luckily, stopping last night in that cafe should mean that I have a lot of charge, so I don't have to stop for a long time for a while. So yeah, let's keep going.
Dragonfly.
Stepper Point is marked by the Pepper Pot, a 40-foot day marker built in 1830 for ships, and from this angle you can just see Trevose Lighthouse across the upcoming bay. I had a look inside and appreciated the views, and found this graffiti from 1940 quite cool, and then headed back off again across the long bay.
A bit too close for me.
If only I knew where I'll be camping tonight.
Something a bit weird is that quite a few people, like a noticeable amount, probably like 20, 30 probably 40 people have asked me, oh, are you walking the whole way? With like the first thing they say to me. I think it's because of this massive backpack, and I'm always like, yeah, and they're always quite intrigued, and I tell them, I point out the little map I have and say I can't get lost, crack the same old jokes, and they love it. So yeah, I love meeting the people. It's something you have to experience for yourself.
Trevone comes from the Cornish meaning river farm, and it was once a small fishing and farming village. It's now a tourist destination and has a submerged forest and has boasted many Iron and Bronze Age finds over the years. Whilst walking through, I used the public toilets and headed off towards the next of many bays on this shorter stretch to Harlyn.
So, just been to the public toilet, they're a saviour. Filled up my water and the rest. Back on the path now. My feet are feeling pretty good today, so I reckon I will make it to Newquay, where they got literally everything. They got Sainsbury's, and I get some socks and the rest of it. So that's hoping I get there today.
Walking into Harlyn, I saw a van selling overpriced pasties, but I was craving one.
£6.45 for this frozen looking pasty, but it's a pasty nonetheless.
And soon after finishing my pasty, I was back on the sand and looking for the coast path again.
I don't like walking on the beaches during this walk because the sand gets in my boots and the sand stays in my socks, and then it grinds further on my toes. So that's not fun, but I suppose it was kind of needed for this bit of the coastal path. So yeah, pasty in my belly, bit of energy, whole full course meal. So yeah. Let's keep going.
After a quick look back at the distance I'd covered today, I kept my eyes focused on the end of the bay and kept pushing on. After walking around Trevose Headland, I can now see all the way across the coastline to Newquay, where I was aiming to get somewhere close to by the end of the day, so I carried on the road towards the next village. Soon I was back to more beach walking, which feels like they go on forever, so once I got to the end I grabbed myself an ice cream, which helped push me on for the next upcoming beaches.
This feels kind of weird to say, but today is the 22nd of May, which means I've been walking for 3 weeks straight. That's mental. 3 weeks. See what you've been doing in 3 weeks. I bet you've been chilling in your bed. Well, no, I've been walking 15 miles plus, usually, every day, except from one, for 3 weeks. Wow, that's mental to think, and I've still got probably another week left. Mental. I've just had a break for about 25 minutes speaking to one of my friends on the phone to also rest my feet, took my boots off, so yeah, I think we're pretty rejuvenated. My feet have been actually really good today. I've been going quite fast, which is good. So yeah, let's probably keep on moving, trying to get to, probably not Newquay today because it's quite long and there's not a lot of good places to camp near Newquay, so maybe a bit before. It's 4:30 now, so maybe 4 hours of walking, and yeah, we'll be all good.
This next section of coast path contained loads of cool natural bays, coves and rock formations right next to each other, as well as old smuggling hotspots, so I was looking forward to walking this segment.
So the plan right now is to make it to Mawgan Porth, where there is an inn. It's going to take probably another half an hour to get there. The time right now is about 7:30. So if I stay there for half an hour, there's a woods right next to it, but it's also right next to a house. However, if you look here, we're on the cliffs, but there's loads of space. So I'm thinking I'm going to go there, charge up my stuff, etc. But here is not a bad place if that woods isn't very good. But then again, all these cliffs are quite good camping spots if you know, kind of go in the middle in a way, and you can pack up early, set up late, you know. So yeah, I think we're going Mawgan Porth, probably, and yeah, so we've got a spot there. Here would not be a bad camping spot, just over there. However, it's 22 more minutes till Mawgan Porth, but it's up and down and it may not be as good, so I'm going to go down, at least have a look over that cliff, see if it's alright. But yeah, it's otherwise this looks pretty good for a spot tonight. Okay, I've been sat here for a minute now debating whether to go down, because the time now is 7:45, and if I was to go down it would take, what, an hour to get some food, and then maybe like half hour after that we'll doing whatever, and it looks quite bad for spots. So I think what I'm going to do is just stay here back where I was 5 minutes, because it's another 19 minutes down there, which means, you know, extra time, and it gets dark about 9:30. I don't really want to be walking much after that, so I'm going to stay here for the night. Maybe go down there tomorrow or just go off to Newquay. But yeah, I'm going to stay here today, I think. Maybe wait until it gets a bit later, until I pitch up the tent, just sit down for a bit. Yeah, I think that's the plan. So right here, or just back there, is where we're stopping for the night.
I initially wanted to stop in the pub for some food, but after looking at the spots below and beyond and realising that it would be dark by the time I got out, I decided to go just backwards to set up camp for the night.
Okay, that's the path we were on a minute ago, but I'm planning to go right there. You could actually see my tent from the path, which would be there, so I'm thinking maybe here could be a better option, because it's not in the field, so he wouldn't care if that's a farmer or whatever. Right here, because you can see it, but you're not going to go out of your way to, you know, that one you can see from both paths. This one you kind of have to look and you have to care. So this one for now is number one. There's also a little cliff bit around the corner I'm going to check, which could also be okay, but we'll see. That's number one for now. Or maybe right there is an option. You can see it from the path, but it's quite cool. Yes, it's on a cliff. Maybe. Or maybe there would be the safest, because you can see it from that path, but it's a bit away. You can't see it from the top one. That one isn't as nice view, okay, but that one is probably the safest. That one is still on a cliff. Bit of choosing, I think. Which one would you choose?
After spotting this cool painted rock, and with the sun going down, I decided to camp on this cliff, where you could only see me from one angle of the path.
Okay, the time is 9:10. I haven't seen anyone in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to put my tent up, I think. Okay, here we are, the tent is up. Now, is this the smartest idea? Probably not. However, there's not too many places around here, and I didn't really want to go down Mawgan Porth. So if this video doesn't come out, then you probably know why. I've fallen off a cliff. If not, then this is going to be the best spot so far. So I'm going to get some sleep, maybe eat something because I didn't get to the pub. So yeah, I shall see you tomorrow.
And with that was the end of day 22 and the end of these last few days. Subscribe to see the next part of the adventure, where I walk through the most populated and one of the most popular towns of Newquay, get my last ferry of the trip across the River Gannel, plod across the 2 largest beaches in Cornwall, visit the most photographed mine, camp in Scilly woods, and finish just past the iconic St Ives, and so much more that you can't miss.